Hey guys! So one of my New Year's resolutions for 2015 was to read more. And the way that I motivated myself to do that was by doing the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. To be completely honest, I did not finish the challenge. It was like 50 books, but before 2015, I read like 2 or 3 books a year, and last year, I managed to read 14. So, significant improvement. I really enjoyed it. So I'm trying to show off my hoodie because it's Harry Potter. Anyway. What was I gonna say? So without further ado, I'm gonna go through the books that I read. The first book I read fulfilled 2 of the challenges for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, which were a book with non-human characters and a book with magic. It was the start of the new year and I had just started dating my boyfriend Eric, so he recommended to me his favorite book series, and that was the Dresden Files. So I read the first book, which is Stormfront by Jem Butcher. He told me if you like fantasy and mystery, you'll definitely like this series. And I didn't like it very much, but I blame that on the fact that it's from the perspective of like a 30-year-old man, and I'm a 20-year-old girl. I liked the idea of most of the things that happened. There was too much action and it was really like grungy mystery kind of stuff. It was really well written and I liked the idea behind it, but if you think you would like to read something from the perspective of a grown man, go for it. But for some reason, that just doesn't resonate with me. Don't know why. Weird. The second book I did was supposed to be a book your friend recommended, so I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sands. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's this. My friend didn't really recommend this to me specifically. She actually has a YouTube channel. It's Lindsay Reads. I would definitely go check it out if you're into the booktube kind of stuff. Most of the books on my TBR currently have come from either her or Christina Horner, but she's also my friend in real life, so I was like, hey, that counts. I know her. I loved this book so much. It's about 2 guys in high school who come from completely different worlds. One comes from a much wealthier family. His parents are like professors and he's really well versed in literature. The other one is a lot poorer. He has a brother that his parents never mention, and that's a big like plot point. And it's just about their friendship and how their relationship grows, and it's just really interesting and well written, and I love it so much. It's really good. The third book I read fulfilled a trilogy and a book that was over 500 pages. I didn't read the whole trilogy in 2015, but I read the last book of the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, which is Allegiant. And there are probably going to be some spoilers, so skip to this time if you don't want to see the spoilers. I really liked that it was from both Triss's and For's perspective. I like when you can see things from the other character's point of view, though it did make it kind of confusing sometimes because I would be like thinking I'm reading from Triss's perspective and then it's like, and then I hugged Triss and oh, where for now? Okay, this whole story took a huge turn from where the series started, so I thought it was just a really good ending to the series. I thought it was really good. I liked it a lot, and I like the whole series a lot. I would definitely recommend it. The 4th book I read fulfilled a book that takes place in a high school and a book that got turned into a movie, and that was Paper Towns by John Green. I love this book so much, and I'm probably gonna give some spoilers again. Q is really into Margot Roth Spiegelman, and I like their relationship. I find it really interesting. I like that she like leaves these hints for him to go find her, and it's a really fun adventure. But at the end of the movie, you know, you find out that she doesn't want him. She wants to be independent. And for some reason, that's really refreshing to me, to read a book that's pretty romance-driven, and at the end the 2 characters don't end up together. They never really are together romantically in the book. That's just not what you expect from a book that focuses on high school students. Also, the high school characters in this book are so funny, and they're so much like my friends were in high school, so I just found that really fun and nostalgic. The 5th book I read was a book with a 1-word title and a book with a love triangle, and that was Matched by Ali Condi. Yes, Amber, my roommate, recommended this to me, and I enjoyed it. You know, it's kind of your standard young adult dystopian novel, but it was really, really romance-centered, and for some reason that just turned me away from it, kind of. I guess when I read a dystopian novel, I want it to be a little bit more action and suspense focused. But basically the premise of the book is that you, at I think age 16 or something like that, you are matched with basically your soulmate, and this girl has 2 soulmates basically, and she has to figure out, you know, does she go with the one she's assigned or the one that she really has feelings for, and it's just really, it's good, but it was just a little too much romance for me. So if you like romance with your dystopian novel, I would recommend it. But if you don't, Divergent. The 6th book I read was a book you started but never finished, and for me that was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. Again, Amber recommended this to me and I wound up not liking it a lot. I promise we do have a lot of the same taste in books, but these 2 specifically in a row, just, I don't know. I guess I've never really been into the vampire romance kind of stuff. I didn't like Twilight that much when I read it in like 8th grade. I don't know, this one was just really like high school romance, drama, crazy, and I was like, sorry, I'm in college now, like, I don't want to read about that anymore. And that's why I put it down originally, and when I picked it back up, I still just wasn't really feeling it. But I finished it, and I don't know. The idea of it was good, but it was just too much romance for me. I don't know. The 7th book I read was a book by an author you've never read before. And for that one, I did Love and Other Foreign Words by Erin McCann. I liked this book a lot because I'm a linguist and it appealed to me because I saw the word foreign words and I was like, hey, I like foreign words. I enjoyed the plot of the book, I think, but the main character annoyed me so much because she reminded me of me in high school. She was very, very smart, and she knew that she was smart, but it made her think that she was right about everything, and she was just kind of entitled. So, like, her sister is marrying this guy, and she doesn't think that he's right for her sister, and, like, she will not shut up about it. I'm like, could you please just let your sister live her life, please? But the plot of it was really good, and she talked about other languages a lot, and I was like, thank you. The 8th book I read, I don't have on me right now, but it was called The Irresistible Revolution by Shane Claiborne. It was a book that you own but have never read. This book was kind of different from the other books I've read. It's nonfiction, and it's about a guy who goes and lives with the homeless, works with Mother Teresa, does all these really cool things in the name of God, and I just found it really inspiring. It made me feel really motivated to do stuff to help people, especially the homeless and the impoverished. I know I don't talk about my Christianity on this channel a lot, but if you are ever at a standstill in your faith, read something like The Irresistible Revolution because it will motivate you. It's good. It stirs you like a freaking something that you stir, like a soup. I'm gonna move on. The 9th book that I read was a book that takes place during Christmas, so I did Landline by Rainbow Rowell. I had heard Christina Horner recommend so many books by Rainbow Rowell, I was like, I gotta do it. So, rented it from my library and I read it while I was in North Carolina. It's so good. This one took place from the perspective of like an older woman, but for some reason she was just so relatable. She was like really quirky and nerdy and I enjoyed that a lot. Basically the premise of the book is that this woman's relationship with her husband is kind of falling apart. Christmas break hits and she has to stay home in California or somewhere and work while he goes home to Minnesota or Michigan or something like that and sees his parents and takes their 2 daughters with him while she's home alone. And she discovers this landline phone that for some unknown reason allows her to communicate with her husband in the past. And the blurb on the back of the book says, can she save her marriage before it even begins? It's just really interesting. It makes you think about relationships and love and how all that stuff works. And it's just really well written and relatable. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm really into Rainbow Rowell now. The 10th book I read was a book your mom loves, and my mom recommended to me Nickel and Dimed by Barbara Ehrenreich. This one, again, is a little different. It's nonfiction. It's about a reporter who goes on kind of an undercover thing to kind of study how living off of a minimum wage job in America works. And it was just really interesting and really insightful. There are a lot of points in the book where she's doing okay, depending on what state she's in. She's paying her rent off pretty well, getting decent meals, and then other times in other states, or if she got sick, obviously she didn't have any sort of insurance, so that would take a lot of money out of her pocket, and then she would be eating like ramen every night and living out of a car, and it really makes you think about where we are right now in America and how it's kind of really messed up. And that book was written in like the 90s or the early 2000s. If anything, it's worse now, TBH. But it was really interesting and compelling. The 11th book I read was a book that was originally written in another language and a book from your childhood. So I read Harry Potter y la Piedra Filosofal, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in Spanish. And it was Harry Potter in Spanish. It was the first book that I'd read entirely in Spanish, and I found it really helpful to read something that I already knew what was kind of happening, so even if I got confused, I could kind of figure it out. And it was, magical, as always. It was Harry Potter. If you're studying another language, I would highly recommend reading a book in said language because it is so helpful and it made me so much more confident. It helped me up how fast I can read in Spanish, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot and it was really helpful. The 12th book I read was another Rainbow Rowell because I just liked her book so much I had to go read another one, and that was Fangirl. I've just put it down as a funny book. It's about a girl who writes a lot of fan fiction, and then she goes into college and she kind of discovers that she doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life because she's really liked writing fan fiction her whole life, but she learns that you can't make a living off of that. And again, the character just kind of annoyed me. She was just really, really proud of her work. I was like, you're really smart, you can do so much better, and she just didn't see it, and I don't know, but she is a huge fangirl, and I found that really relatable, and I don't know, I still really like the writing style because it is Rainbow Rowell and I like the way she writes, but there were aspects of it that I enjoyed a lot, and aside from the characters being annoying in a bunch of different ways, I liked the plot of it a lot, and I definitely liked the general ideas. And the last book I read last year is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I didn't really have anything on the reading challenge that I thought this fell under, but at this point I was just like, hey, I like reading now. I'm just gonna read this because I want to. And that was really the point the whole time, wasn't it? The moral of the story. This one's about two guys named Will Grayson who, by weird happenstance, meet each other and their lives just cross over in all these different ways. And it's really interesting. It takes place in a high school and they're from two kind of like different tropes, and it's really fun to see the way they interact. And also, I think the way it's set up is John Green writes one Will's perspective, and then David Levithan writes the other Will's perspective, and they're very different. Like, one Will doesn't use capitalization and punctuation really, and the other one writes it in a more standard way, and so it makes it really obvious when the character changes, and that's really nice. And if one character, like, their plot starts getting a little stale or they start getting annoying, it just switches to the other Will, and it's really nice. It's kind of like you're reading two stories at once, but they interact, and it's really fun. I like it a lot. And the book I'm reading right now is Looking for Alaska by John Green because I just love reading John Green. So far, it seems kind of a lot like Paper Towns, so I'm waiting for that to pick up, but I'm liking it so far. It's John Green. And those are the 14/kind of 13, since I'm still reading Looking for Alaska, books that I read in 2015. Even though I didn't finish the challenge, I am really proud of myself for starting to read more, and that was really my goal. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself, and now, when I'm kind of bored and I need something to do, there's always reading, and I always enjoy it. Now I've read like a good amount of nonfiction books that I like, so that's new. There's a whole new genre for me to enjoy, so I like that a lot. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, let me know in the comments down below, and if you have recommendations of what I should read in 2016, let me know. I have a really long TBR already, but I'm not gonna complain if you have more recommendations for me. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I do put out videos every Wednesday. And make sure you check out my social media. All the links are in the description. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Happy New Year. I love you guys. Bye.